All right, this is the 1-year tasting of our not sack mead. What do I mean by that? Well, this is our step feed sack mead, supposedly, and it came out at 13%, which in my definition is not a sack mead, so it's our tasting of a not a sack mead. Anyway, like I said, this one came out at 13.03%, which, it's 13%. Come on, let's be serious. And this was bottled just a little bit over a year ago. June 3rd, today's June 15th. So, yeah, it's a year and a week or two. So let's... Oh, see, absolutely no carbonation. That's a good sign. And we intentionally don't go back and watch those videos again, so we have no idea what we did here. Other than I know that this was a step feed. We had a few different additions of honey along the way. And it's supposed to be a sack mead, which is a higher ABV, and it's not. And the attenuation on this one, not real good. Flocculation, there's quite a bit of floaties in it. A little bit surprised there. Not that that hurts you in any way. It's just not the prettiest thing. It's got wispies. You can probably see them.
Yeah, I don't know if this was a double rack situation or what we did.
We may not have double racked this. It's okay.
But it's okay.
The glasses that we have are relatively clear. There's a touch of a haze to this one.
Yep.
I'm just looking to see if mine is more hazy than others because it's got more shaken up. No, it looks about the same.
Yeah.
Terry's might be a little bit clearer, so it is a little bit due to Lise getting unsettled from the bottom. That's a little bit disappointing, but it's not the end of the world, okay? This is an aged mead, and hey, you know what? That means it's going to taste probably a lot better than it did when it was less than a year old.
So color-wise, it has that typical mead amberish hue.
Yeah.
But either because of the cloudiness or...
It's a little more golden and yellow.
It just seems a little more muted. It's not as vibrant
Yeah.
as sometimes the amber color comes out.
It's got a nice looking color, though. I'll say that. It actually looks like a nice color. It looks looks kind of like a Scotch, actually. A little more saturated than a Scotch.
On the nose?
It's beautiful.
It
smells like some of the wood age stuff that we just did a couple weeks ago.
Absolutely.
It really does. It smells like the French oak.
And it also smells very much like honey.
Oh yeah. This is honey in a glass. Which, that's kind of what mead is, but you know what I mean.
But yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Vanilla.
The first thing I got was honey, and the second thing I got was wood aging, which we didn't do, so...
Nope, we did not wood age
That
this.
was interesting.
But I'm getting vanilla, definitely a little bit of an oak, almost a cotton candy.
Yeah, and I'm kind of getting a little bit of the marshmallow thing, s'more thing.
And the honey smell. And I'm getting like a wildflower honey. It's a more neutral, generic honey, not I know wildflower can vary, but the honey that we use, the wildflower, I think this was the wildflower. So far, I'm impressed.
I'm not getting citrus, so I'm thinking it probably was the wildflower. Again...
Yeah, there's almost no citrus to this.
I will link all the previous videos in the description below, so that way if you want to check out and see what we actually did to get here.
What's interesting, though, is I'm not actually getting any ethanol. I smell no alcohol.
What are you getting, Dad?
It's really nice to smell.
Everything you guys said.
Okay, there's consensus.
There's no harsh notes to the aroma at all. Just all smooth. Velvety is the word.
It's one of those drinks, and
This is lovely.
it's reminding me of some of our favorite whiskeys because I really enjoy just smelling them for long periods of time, and this is one of those things that I feel like I could just sit here and smell it
Yeah, definitely.
for a couple
All right,
hours.
are we ready for a short sip? Now, the short sip is where you acclimate your mouth and your taste buds to the alcohol and the flavors in the brew.
So
You
this
don't.
is 13?
Yes, this one's 13%. You don't get all the flavors because it's just to get it in your mouth and swallow it down real fast, just to acclimate. But you do get a first impression of a brew. So let's go ahead and do that. That is good.
Wow.
That is just really good. It's
Now,
sweet. It is on the sweet
It's
side.
very sweet. And you can tell
It's a dessert meat.
that the step feeding did add a significant amount of honey, but I don't think the yeast kept up. And I think
Yeah.
that's why this was not a sack mead.
I'm gonna guess this at like a 1.020 finish. I'm guessing could be slightly higher, but I don't think it's a lot higher. It is not cloyingly sweet. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't make you go.
Yeah,
it's not like that at all.
I'm almost getting like a bochet note.
Yeah, it almost tastes
particularly
bochet.
on the end,
We
but
did not bochet this, as far as I know.
I'm gonna
I think
explore
what
more.
we might be experiencing is there was raisins in this. Raisins can add that dried fruit, charred sort of taste, a little bit of a tangy note, some smokiness even.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're getting. And that added a lot to the color too. I'm
right,
thinking.
right. And I appreciate that because it's giving it a lot more complexity than just
The character
honey.
of this is amazing.
Yeah.
What do you think, Terry?
I didn't recognize it until you said raisin, and that's
Yep.
that's what I'm
The
getting.
tanginess and
Yeah.
a little bit of almost a smoky. Yep. Most definitely.
All
But
right, are we ready to?
first impression on that is really, really good. I'm ready for a long sip, yes. All right, I gotta say, this is my wheelhouse right here. I like pretty basic traditional meads as well as spiced methaglens and things like that. I like meads that have raisin in them for that tanginess, smokiness. And this fits the bill.
Yeah, it has the nice viscosity, particularly in the front end, that you would mentally think should be in all meads, but isn't necessarily in all meads. Where it's coating, but it's not what's that word?
Cloying.
Cloyingly so.
No, it's actually got a rather short finish for the amount of flavor that it packs in there. Coming in, I get immediately the honey vanilla flavor. Sweet, but not overly so. There's that bitter note that I usually get from honey in meads.
Fermented honey, yeah.
It's there. It's throughout, actually. And when I say bitter, it's more of a balancing bitter. Kind of like in beer, you use hops to balance off the sweetness. This, for some reason, has that almost acidic astringency to it, just a little bit that cuts through the sweetness. We probably put citrus in it somehow. Or tea. We may have tea in this. I'm thinking it's tea. And that just really gives it wonderful mouthfeel. It's very thick and rich and luscious in your mouth. And then as you swallow, I get the actual, like almost pure honey flavor. And then it kind of goes away. And the linger is just a little bit of the combination of sweetness and bitterness.
Yeah.
Really, really nice.
Yeah.
What do you got, Terry?
It felt quite cool on the tip of the tongue and the back of the mouth. It warmed up the back of the tongue very nicely.
Yeah.
It was
Yep. It sits on the back of your tongue a little bit as you swallow. Oh, I need more.
It has a nice
I don't like this one at all. Can you tell?
dimension to it. I'll be honest, I had a little bit of a concern because I knew that not
This
as
one ends
much
up a little
of the
sweet.
honey got fermented out that we were anticipating. So I was concerned that it was going to have,
Overly sweet.
yeah, but
It's nicely
there's
sweet.
a nice balance between the sweetness and the bitterness and the, like Dad was talking about, the sensation of the cooling and the warming. It's a lot better than I was anticipating.
Wow. Don't give it too much of a huge review. These are at room temperature, and every time I say that, somebody says, "Oh, can you try it at this temperature?" That nope, we're going to try it at room temperature because that's where you get the most variety of flavors, and we should get the most complexity out of it. If we chill it, you start turning flavors down, just like in any beverage, and we don't like to do that for a tasting. So
So could we chill this though? Of course we could, and I think
I don't want to.
that the flavors in there are powerful enough that it might be okay chilled. The problem with chilling is that chilling does turn off some flavor notes, and so because it's so nicely balanced at room temperature, I do have concerns that chilling it may turn off the wrong note and completely destroy the balance, which would be sad.
This is really good at room temperature. I've taken to drinking my meads at room temperature lately, and I'm finding so much more in them than I ever did before. I always used to chill them, and now I'm starting to drink them at room temperature, mostly because I'm lazy. And honestly, I'm liking them better. This, to me, compares to the French oaked basic mead. Very similar.
Yeah.
I don't have any of that left to compare. Otherwise, I would pull it out right now and taste test them next to each other. It's
Mostly
that similar.
just as an excuse to drink more of the French oak.
Yeah, that was just
aged.
so good. I don't get quite as much vanilla. And I think this might be just a touch sweeter than that one was. And that's probably my only real complaint on this.
This reminds me a lot of the French oak aged mead, but not as smooth.
It's not quite as smooth.
That French, it was just so smooth. This is like
But this isn't oak aged.
right, but it's very similar
it's
in
incredibly
profile.
similar.
It's just like this is amped up a little bit.
Now, Terry, you had some of the French oak aged mead, right? I gave you the last of the jar, as I recall.
Do you recall when
It
you
was a
first
few
got
days
here?
ago. I poured you in the small round glass.
Yes.
How does this compare? You said you wanted a sip, and I poured you like that much of a glass. And you said, that's not a sip.
You didn't know there was going to be a test, did you?
I think this is better,
Really?
but
Okay.
not by a lot.
Okay. Food pairings. Desserts.
Desserts.
Cheesecake.
Cheesecake.
Absolutely. Cherries Jubilee.
Oh, see, now I want cheesecake.
Bananas
and ice
Foster.
cream. Oh yeah.
This would you could put this in Bananas Foster, not just have it with Bananas Foster. You could put this in it.
That would be good for Father's Day.
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah.
okay. I'll remember
See,
that.
Father's Day is coming up. We
Yeah,
told
I
them
have
they
to
had to
cook
think
for
about
Father's
what we were gonna make for them, and
As far as eating, like pairing with food, I think this would be really good with like pork chops and applesauce kind of thing.
oh yeah,
Stuff like that. More of your richer comfort food types of things. I could eat this with a lot of stuff.
this would be great in Viking chili
Yes.
to cook in
For some reason, I want to drink this with fried chicken.
fried chicken, fried anything.
Country fried steak.
I think lots of the things that you would typically drink beer with and pair beer with, you
Yeah.
could use this.
Yeah.
Not that it's reminding me of beer.
Not in any way,
It's
no.
not. It's just, it seems like it has that hearty robustness to
Yeah.
it that would work.
Strong flavor. It's it's not aggressive, but it's a strong flavor. It stays with you, so it can hold up to really tasteful things that have a lot of flavors to them. It can hold up to spicy things too, because of that
Barbecue,
little bit of honey.
chili,
Mexican food. This would go really great with Mexican food.
Yeah.
Because it'll cut that spiciness down just a little bit. As far as putting in food, as she was saying, Viking chili, I could see this as cook it down and make it a glaze for pork. You could use this as a marinade. I mean, really a lot of things. Okay,
would-
this is very ubiquitous. You can use
Banana
it for a lot.
or bread pudding.
Bread pudding. Yep, this would work beautiful in a bread pudding.
Oh yes, that would be good for Father's Day too.
You hear this guy?
Apparently, we're just having
We're
dessert
just
for
gonna eat
Father's Day.
desserts. Yeah. Thankfully, I can make bread that has tons of protein and fiber, so we can make that work.
There you go.
As far as putting this in a mug and drinking it, that would be my preferred way. Literally, and if I had a fire in front of me, it would be that much better. Literally, just put this in a mug or a horn, if you prefer, and sit by a fire and drink it. By the way, people ask me all the time, how come I don't have a horn or use a horn? Mostly because maybe I just don't know how to use them properly, but I spill it all over the place every single time.
He gets the splashback.
It splashes me in the face. It's not comfortable. It's not enjoyable. I just don't like it. So
And it's pointy on one end.
you can't set it down either. I mean, I have a holder for it and everything, but I don't like it.
Do we have one? Yes.
Yeah.
Do we use it? No.
Nope. Nope. I used it like 3 times. Went, no, I'm done. No. That's all we have on this, isn't it? Oh, we're not done yet.
It's time for numbers.
Does everyone have a number? I think I need a little bit more.
You always say that.
It's for science.
I don't actually always say that. There are some that I go, nope, I'm good. Usually you can tell if we're going to like something by the pour size that we do initially. If it's a little teeny tiny pour, we do not have high hopes. All right, think about your score while
I'm going to
while
think
I
about my
savor it.
score, but I'm going to talk about the sediment in this, and I'm surprised at how much sediment is still in there, and I'm really for my own knowledge and edification, is going to go back and rewatch the making of to see if we double racked this, because I'm surprised.
I'm doubting we did.
Now,
So much more fell out after we bottled it, which is kind of nuts.
so visually, it's irking me a little bit.
Yeah, it's not very pretty.
But the biggest thing I've heard people talking about with clarity and racking your beverages is that you're going to get off flavors. If that stuff created an off flavor in this
Then I'm
particular
going to do
beverage,
it every freaking time.
then we need more off flavors, because
Yeah,
it's
it certainly
wonderful.
did not produce off flavors
So
of any kind.
I think this alone kind of debunks that whole
Yeah.
myth that
Well, there's a lot of things that people say are
Yeah.
important in making meads and brews that just aren't necessarily true. At the end of the day, if you enjoy what you're making and you enjoyed the process of doing it and you can share it with people that you care about and they enjoy it too, you're not doing anything wrong.
yeah.
As long as nobody gets sick afterwards.
Right. And that's part of our ethos, is that number 1 is safety, number 2 is simplicity.
Yep.
And we're trying to make this approachable for everybody.
Number 3 is enjoyment.
And which might actually make that number 1, really.
Safety's still number 1.
Okay.
No matter how much I enjoy it, I don't want to make poison.
1.2 is enjoyment.
Wait a minute. No matter how much I might enjoy. No.
No,
I don't.
right?
No. I'm just going to stop that right there. We'll just move on.
All right, do you have a number?
I have several numbers.
All the numbers.
I have a number. I'm good. Does everybody have a number? We ready?
Yes.
You ready? Camera's rolling.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 9.
8.5.
Wow. we're very
You were the
close.
low man.
All right, Terry, you were the low one. Gave an 8.
How low? 8 is low.
8's the low one this
It was
time.
the low one. So that tells you.
How about 8 1/4?
It's okay. You're still the lowest.
8.5. I was the second lowest.
Now, what made you give it an 8?
You were just looking for a number.
Just it was good.
Let me explain our scoring system. 1 means it's possibly toxic and you wouldn't give it to your best friend. 10 means this is the shining example. It cannot be improved. 5 means this is good. I would drink it, but it might not be the first thing I choose.
So we'll give you an easier question. What would you want seen differently in this?
Well, no sediment, but don't lose whatever taste the sediment gave.
Sure.
I'm not sure the sediment gave it any
that's not
taste.
important.
So.
That's not important,
Right.
but it is a factor.
It is a thing.
Sure.
But flavor-wise,
Flavor was good, but I'm not sure what could make it better, but it
okay,
could be better.
Okay, fair enough.
that's fair. You're next.
I am next at 8.5. And the reason why I did this is because it's not fruity.
This is a Brian mead, is what she's trying to say.
Watched a lot of our tastings, you'll know that I tend to prefer the things that are fruit forward, where Brian tends to prefer, particularly meads, the ones that are more simple
Or
and
spiced.
honey forward or spiced. He really likes.
You're going to drink mead, make it taste like honey.
It's not fruity.
It's not.
What fruit doesn't it have?
This isn't
What
fruity.
fruit taste? I mean,
Well, I like the red
She likes
fruits.
red.
I like plum and cherry and berry, anything, and
Yeah, this is not a fruit mead. This
Yeah.
is
that's
just a
a
mead.
color thing.
well, it's
Well,
not
it's taste
necessarily
too.
color. It's
Taste
it's
too.
a taste. I want to
I
close
don't
my
really taste
eyes
fruit in this one.
and have rich, ripe fruit. Where this is definitely a honey. Now, I really liked it. That's why I gave it an 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the Derrick beverage, which is just my personal bias. It's not really against this, and that's why I'm like,
We're
well,
not actually trying to judge each other or
This
critique our
tastes
scores.
just like bee melon.
bee melon. Okay,
All right.
That's, that's the fruit I get. Bee melon.
bee
Okay.
melon.
Is that all you got?
Yeah. My
No,
last
Then apparently it's not all you got. Go
my
ahead.
last thing is that how would I change it? I don't know. I think the scientific side of me wants it to ferment further.
Okay.
Because our goal was a sack mead, we didn't reach that goal, and so even though that really has nothing to do with the flavor profile of this beverage as it is now, I still want to reach that goal.
Fair enough. I gave it a 9, and here's why. On one hand, I think it's a touch too sweet. It's very, very good. I love it as it is, but I think it could use a little bit more dryness. So maybe not more fermentation, just less sweetness, okay? Because more fermentation means more alcohol and less sweetness. So
Yeah.
somewhere in between those two things is what I need. Also, the appearance. Now, for me, that's like a quarter to a half a point, okay? It just doesn't mean all that much. The sweetness, it's that much, just a half a point too sweet for me. So if this were just a little drier and crystal clear, it'd probably be a 10 to me. Okay, so that's how good this is.
Sure.
And I put this on par with the French oak one. As far as some of the other flavors that we've talked about, I get spicy notes out of this. If I think about it, I get a little bit of cinnamon even, a touch of the tannins from a tea, and then I'm getting vanilla. This tastes wood aged, even though I know for a fact it is not, because we just didn't do it back then. So the fact that that has all that complexity makes me really appreciate it that much more, giving it a 9. Otherwise, I would have gone lower. But it is just a basic mead. Really, really simple stuff. It does make me want to make a sack mead, though, again, and
Yeah.
make something that's on the sweet side, but I want it to be like 18, 19%, just to really, do a sack mead justice and really make that work. But hey, if you like this video, thanks for watching. Look up. There's another one up there. You might like that one too.